Hi.
I'm trying to look and see. Oh, I see where he is.
Can you
He's
see?
behind his
Can you
boing.
see Chile?
I see his feet.
Okay, so
It's
do I need to?
I think it's just he's behind the curve of the boing. So at some moment he'll move and we'll be able to get a
Yeah,
good
you
view
know,
of him.
he's behind the bong on the perch.
Oh yes, there he
Oh,
is.
so
Yeah.
hi everybody. This little guy actually had a cage mate who was his sibling and probably related to some of Katie's birds. I separated the two of them this morning because the cage mate has been adopted. So this guy is being presented as a solo bird, and
Aw.
he probably, as Katie was talking about, might be a sibling or at least related to some of the birds she has. He came to me in mid-October last year, so he's out of quarantine. And when I got him and his cage mate, they were probably about 6 months old. And at this point, his cere is violet. So I know he's a male. And I would guess he's probably somewhere between 9 months and a year. So he's still very young and he's going to tame pretty quickly. I do put my hand in the cage. He's not stepping up to a hand yet, but he's not afraid of people, and he generally does pretty well.
Mhm.
This one is very gentle. He's very sweet. His cage mate was more bossy and tended to hog food and so forth. But what I always did was keep two food bowls in the cage, and I tend to put the food and water in bowls in the bottom of the cage.
Mhm.
So I didn't have a lot of problems with, food competition. He's
Uh-huh.
also on Nutrien AB cakes, and those come in a blue package. And I mix those with either Harrison's Fine Crumbles or with Supreme. So he gets that in the morning, and then sometime in the afternoon, after about 3, I will put in millet and mixed vegetables for him. So today he's got arugula, carrots, and snow peas, and I just change whatever mixture I give him daily.
Mhm.
And like Katie's birds, he's eating a pretty good selection of things. These little budgies seem to really like bitter greens, so he really gobbles down the arugula. All my birds like that.
I
Um,
have arugula, but I've never served it to the birds. I'm going to try that tonight.
yeah, so this one needs to either get adopted very soon to where he's got a new buddy, or I'm going to try and see if Mickaboo has another budgie that I can match up with him from the aviary flock.
Mhm.
Since his sibling is getting adopted. So he's a solo bird right now. And I want to try and keep him connected with another budgie as much as I can.
Yeah, he'll like that. It's important emotional support and social
Yeah, and
interaction for them.
I'm really glad you brought up the point about Mickaboo policy. We generally ask that people for these small birds like cockatiels and budgies that they adopt a pair if they don't already have a budgie or a cockatiel.
Mhm.
And, generally we will match them up with a bird of the same sex. Not always. Sometimes adopters have a particular selection that they want. So it might be a bonded male female pair or it might be 2 females or 2 males. But one of the things we're always going to do if somebody adopts a bonded male-female pair, we're going to talk with them about things to do to prevent breeding. So, Katie, as you said, these guys are really flock animals in the wild.
Yes.
These little budgies can be in flocks of sometimes 100 birds, and they'll fly in a group. When I have both this one and his cage mate out, they'll fly in tandem together back and forth in the room. And, you know, they'll land on my tree stand together. So I let them out daily to fly. And I also have some other birds. So I have to just let these out. You know, just the 2 of them, and I have to put the other birds in, although some of the other birds I have get along really well with budgies, but I've, at this point, kept them separate. So these little guys are playful. This one is a little quieter than his cage mate, but he's just very easygoing and very sweet. And I think he'll be a really easy bird to match up with another budgie. If somebody in the audience has a single budgie and they're looking for another one, this one would be a good choice because he's a very easygoing bird. He's young. He'll be easy to tame. And he, as you can see, he's a pretty little guy. He's mainly yellow, and he's got some black markings on his back and the top of his head. And then he's got this green patch in the middle of his chest and between his legs. So he's, I think, pretty good to go. I think he would do fine with kids. You know, adopters would have to work with him to totally hand tame him, but he will take Millet out of my hand.
Yeah. So you've gotten just a little further than I have. I keep getting to that point and then taking a step backward.
Yeah. So, and you're going to see the cage that he's in is a standard flight cage, which is great for budgies. So easily 2 budgies can be put in this cage. Now, I've taken out a lot of the toys because sometimes it's hard to see the birds when there's a lot of stuff in the cage. But you're going to notice there are different sizes of perches in this cage. So there are dowels, but I've also got rope perches. And then what he's sitting on is actually a branch that's a couple of inches in circumference, and that's his favorite branch. So, and it makes it possible for him to really spread his claws and his feet out.
Yeah, that's pretty big relative to the size of his feet. So
that's his favorite place besides the bong.
You mentioned that there are toys that are taken out so we can see him, obviously. Does he have favorite toys, or just generally are there kinds of toys that you consider to be budgie favorites?
His favorite toy is a mirror toy that you may not be able to see because it's hanging high up in the cage, but he likes the bong, he likes the swing. Sometimes he'll play with balls. I've got shredding toys hanging in the cage, although he doesn't show much interest in that. He and his cage mate like to get out to fly. They like to stretch their wings, which, given they came from an aviary, makes sense.
Yeah, I saw him take a nice little flight around in that cage, which helps you understand why they're called flight cages.
Yeah. So, you know, they can fly and flit back and forth, but coming out daily for about 2 or 3 hours, I try to make that happen because they definitely like to be out to fly around.
That's great. We're coming toward the end of our time, so a reminder to the audience, type any questions into the Q&A, And are there any other things that you'd like to tell us about Chile?
Well, I think he's just a really sweet little bird. He's going to fit in pretty nicely any place he goes. You know, I think he just needs to be paired up with another budgie or a group of budgies. So I think he's ready to go. And if somebody's interested in adopting him, I would be happy to do a Zoom visit with them.
Yeah, and right now that's a great way to do to meet a foster brood who you're interested in adopting. So yeah, good reminder for our audience. Well, thank you so much for introducing us to Chile, Linda.